Hey guys, this is Doug Polk from UpswingPoker. Today I want to talk about what separates the good players from the best players. When I think about my personal poker journey and I think about when I was coming up in the stakes, I feel that I made a lot of errors. I wasn't quite as naturally gifted at poker as some people. It took many years of hard work and dedication to get to where I am. But when I look back and think to myself, what were the mistakes that I was making on my journey up the ladder, I think there's a few pretty clear ones. The first one was that I constantly played too many tables. I know it's cool to play a lot of tables, or at least maybe that's just me. I always felt like playing a lot of tables was the mark of someone that truly knew what they were doing and could handle playing many instances at once because they had a great understanding of the game. Unfortunately, for every table you add, while you might be increasing your hands per hour and your overall rake back, you actually end up hurting your win rate across all the tables. Quite often, adding just one or two tables can hurt you significantly enough on all the rest of the tables so much that it wasn't worth it adding that at all. In fact, it can have a negative effect. So you really want to find a good, consistent table amount when you play. I would recommend playing no more than 4 or 5 tables, maybe 6. 7 or 8 is just ridiculous. Focus on your decisions and play less tables. The second mistake, and this was another big one, I always seemed to just play too many hours. I thought, okay, 24 tables, 10 hours, I'm going to play however many thousand hands, I'm going to get all this rake back, and I'm going to be on my way. And it's not to say that rake back doesn't have its place in a poker player's development. Of course, when you're playing online, you should do your best to get the best deal you possibly can, but that shouldn't be your focus. Your focus should be on winning money at the tables. Your poker strategy should be superior to the strategy of the people around you. That's how you make money. You merely supplement your income with the rake back, or maybe if it's close on a site with a very high amount of rake, it turns you from break even into a winner. Regardless, that's not where you should be focusing your energy. Your energy should be focused on playing each of those hands to your best ability rather than the most hands. I wish coming up in the game I had been playing, a few hundred hands a day rather than a few thousand, but it was a mistake that took me many years to learn. The final mistake that I see, and this is another very important one, is players don't seem to spend enough time away from the table. Now, I would say in today's day and age, there's less of this. I think people understand now the value of coaching, as well as just putting the time learning themselves. Studying is an integral part of the game. You need studying in order to develop, in order to move up in stakes. Think of it like this. Let's say that you're doing well at 1-2, and you're content with that. You want to play a lot of tables, make money, maybe play some 2-4. Well, the problem is going to be this. If you don't put time into your game, that 2 to 3 big blind win rate at 1-2 might be 0 at 2-4, or -1 at 3-6. And that's a pretty big difference. You go from being a winning player to a losing player. However, if you spend the time to become better, to improve your game, you might actually manage to have a solid win rate all the way up, opening doors you couldn't have opened otherwise. So let's say you have 4 to 6 hours a day to spend on poker. Maybe spend 2 to 4 of it playing and the rest studying. Or maybe you should spend more studying if you feel like your game is weak. Spend time reviewing the hands you played, reviewing the samples of hands you played, and try to learn from them. Additionally, if you play in games with the same regulars quite often, you should put time in away from the tables on them specifically. So the next time you're playing versus that same guy, you have an idea of what kind of adjustments you can make to their game. If you don't make all of these decisions, then you're going to find yourself falling behind. And the unfortunate truth about how tough online poker is in today's society is that every year it gets much tougher, rake gets higher, players get smarter, rake back gets lower. So you should make sure to take the time to learn, play less tables, and play less volume, and then maybe one day you can find yourself playing in the high stakes with the big guys. Thanks guys, and good luck on your journey.